So yeah, we have 1 hour. Feel free to move in the space. Feel free to change your position. You don't need to stuck in your place and sit uncomfortably. I mean, we all are kind of movers in this space, so you are very welcome to feel free and to move if something's disturbing you, right? So I have this lecture, The Process of Artistic Decision. I have some slides. At the beginning, I will tell you a little bit about myself. And then after my slides, after my sort of little presentation, we will go into 4 groups. And we have sort of a small case studies where you can discuss with your colleagues and friends. And then we come all together and share the wisdom of what you have learned or what are your thoughts. Sorry for my English. I'm Lithuanian myself, and I live and work in Germany for many years. Last week I was on holidays with my family in Lithuania, so I was talking a lot of Lithuanian. So to jump from Lithuania into Germany, for me it's easier than to jump from German into English. But I guess there are some people in the space who could help me out if I'm stuck with my English language, right? Yes, yay, okay, good. Yeah, so as I said, I'm from Lithuania. I noticed there are 3 people here also from Lithuania. Yay, I'm super happy for that. We are a very, very small country. Yeah, I started my dance career, let's say. I was dancing also ballet and contemporary. I finished a choreographic school, semi-professional, so I know how the body works. Maybe not so well how you know that, but I know what does it feel to dance, how you dance, and what you want to express with your body. I was working for many years in Lithuania as a dance critic and dramaturg. I was also curating or co-curating festival, New Baltic Dance, which is in Lithuania, working for Lithuanian Dance Information Center, co-curating Lithuanian dance platform, also organizing a smaller festival in Berlin, which called Litauen Tanzt, when I was studying and living in Berlin. I was working also in academic field at Lithuanian Music and Theatre Academy, leading the dance department, where I wrote 2 dance programs, one in dance and one in dance pedagogy. And lately I was co-curating Tanz Congress 2022, which was in Mainz. Maybe you heard of it, or maybe some of you participated. The Tanz Congress, Walter for sure. Yeah, and since 2022, I'm artistic and managing director at Tanzhaus NRW, which is in Düsseldorf. Have you been there? Yes, yes and no. So the ones who haven't been there, I very welcome you to come and visit us. And for those who have been there, you're always welcome to come again. Yeah, so I guess it's me, and I'm jumping into my slides now. Yes, the process of artistic decision, or actually artistic curation. So you probably ask yourself how the artistic directors curate the program, or how the program of the venues is as it is, how the process of curation or the process of decision or the process of selection has been done, what are the reasons why this artist is selected and not that artist, and so on and so on. So we will go really basically very practical into the process. I will tell you how we work at Tanzhaus NRW, and I will tell you how what is important for me personally. Yes. Okay. So we have, curation. For me personally, curation is always a collective process. It's never me alone, even though I have this title. I'm always, when I'm talking to the artists, I say, I never decide alone, and I don't want to decide alone. Because it's, I cannot know everything about artistic process, about the topics, and if I curate together with my colleagues, I can learn different points of views from my colleagues, right? So at Tanzhaus NRW, we have a group, dramaturgical group. We have 3 dramaturgs, which are 2 who are responsible for the main program, 1 who is responsible for the field dance for kids and young audiences. And then a head of the stage department and me. So we are 5 people in the dramaturgical team. And we have our meetings once a week. We talk, we discuss, and in discussion process we select, right? Everyone is, everyone can bring their own proposals or the pieces they saw, but a decision process, decision result, let's say, it's a collective one. And this is, for me, it's really important. Yeah, so we have a discussion on relevance, and of course, the absolute base, which you know, it's artistic quality, right? So we start from the artistic quality, and we go further about the, and we talk about the criteria, we talk about the artists, we talk about the research of the artistic research. I jump in back. So what we look at is when the artist would bring the artistic proposal. Of course, we're discussing what is the topic of the piece, what the artist, she, he, they would like to present on stage, and what she, he, they would like to talk about with the audience. So, right, artistic quality, and then it comes the Inhalt, content, thank you. And then it comes the content, artistic content. So this is kind of clear, right? This is understandable, but what is not necessarily visible, that the institutions, they have also their own topics. So for us as an institution, we also look what is important for us. So we are looking like at the ecological crisis. We look also what kind of pieces we can offer to our audience, which would bring inclusion and aesthetics of access more visible. We are looking at the politics of the body, what the body can say to the audience, why is it important, and we are looking at how the individual artistic topic would match the topics of the institution, right? If it matches, wunderbar. So we have a kind of very nice artistic proposal. Sometimes we don't match. It might be that we don't match, but we still kind of would present the piece because we think, because of a different criteria, the piece is very strong, and we should show the piece in our program, right? Another thing, what is very important, is the context. And we are looking at the artistic proposal. Bless you. And we are looking at the artistic proposal by asking how the artistic topic would bring or open up the brighter political, cultural, social, or historical context. Sometimes the artists tend to close up, because there is kind of maybe one individual topic which is very important for the artist. But in order to speak to your audience, in order to have a bigger relevance, you have to look how you can open up the topic. So that's why the context is really important. And then, yeah, and then it's just formal criteria. Let's say we are looking at the artistic proposition. Is it for the season or is it for the festival? Because there are different characters. If it's the season. The season has a characteristics of continuation or continuum, and the festival is kind of has a character of momentum, like Werkstatt Europa. It's like once, right, in a year, in end of July, beginning of August, so you can kind of condense the artistic information. It's a little bit different if you would curate for the season or if you would curate for the festival. Timeline in the season is also one of the formal things, and also financial conditions. We as an institution also have to see what kind of resources we can bring. If the artistic proposal is very expensive for us, it's kind of matching, the topic is matching, the context is matching, but the financial conditions are not matching, so we cannot realize that. Sometimes it's really as easy or not easy as it is. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you mean by artistic quality? What is that?
Did everybody understand the question?
What is artistic quality? She posed the question to trap me here. Because we could discuss about artistic quality 1 hour only about this, right? Is this right? This is the question. I guess, I mean, we could leave this question for the later on and in the discussion. Or
maybe also like, I mean, artistic quality, of course, it can be a lot, but is it then also like in this collective discussion that everyone has their own, they bring their own opinion about it and their own vision about it, and then you also discuss that? Or is it a kind of a common sense of what artistic quality means?
It's both. I would say it's both. Definitely, it's a discussion process, and everyone would discuss that. But however, you also have kind of the Lebenslauf vita of the artist, right? And also the Aktualität, the actual topic. You can also see what is the cast. I will have later on a bit of the criteria how we select, so maybe it can relate to your question a little bit more. Yeah? Okay. Okay. So now I have another slide, which is a balance. So when we curate in for Tanzhaus NRW, for our institution, we're also always looking for the right balance among local, regional, national, and international artists, right? Because we get our supports from the city and from the state, North Rhine-Westphalia. So we have, as an institution, we have obligation towards the local artists, towards the artists from the city, towards the artists from the state, North Rhine-Westphalia. And in a total picture, we are looking at that there is a right balance among geographical-based artists, let's say, right? Yeah. And yeah, when we see it says, right, we invite also established dance artists, but also we are looking kind of strongly to newcomers because, well, the newcomers, you are our future. So we have to invest, not only we like and we do that, we invest in the newcomers. In our future, we have a program at Tanzhaus NRW, which calls Now and Next. So it's for the dance students, for the newcomers to try out, to make short pieces, and we show it them in a double or triple bill. And we mainly focus, our main focus is on contemporary dance. In the history of Tanzhaus NRW, it was not always contemporary dance. There were different festivals which presented different dance styles. But the last artistic director, Bettina Masuch, she concentrated more on contemporary dance, and which what we now still focusing on is urban dance styles, because Tanzhaus NRW was one of the hubs for urban dance development. in Germany, and there is a live and vivid scene in Düsseldorf and in North Rhine-Westphalia. So we're also looking that there are kind of also, we are balancing that out, that we have enough urban dance propositions in our program.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you say the focus is on contemporary and now street and club styles also, but on contemporary, like what do you consider as that?
I tell you about a little bit about the history when Tanzhaus NRW started. There was a lot of festivals. They call it orientale, so oriental dance. It was also there. They call it, I guess, I don't remember the name. I'm sorry for that. Afro dance styles. I leave it now as it is, right? It's not there anymore. Also salsa and samba, so it was presented on stage as pieces kind of in that manner as different festivals. So now we are looking that it's really kind of, you know, the pieces who would have contemporary educational background.
But is that like, you mean like Western European contemporary?
Not necessarily, no. Because we have also international propositions, so we invite also the different artists from Asia, from Africa, from Canada, and so on.
But it has to be like institutional contemporary. For me, I'm just asking because it's like, if I, for example, if I create, and my background is street and club styles and also like educational contemporary dance. For me, it's also a question why street and club style is not contemporary, or like where it is. Yeah, what the term, how an institution like you like uses the term contemporary dance. It's just like nice to understand too.
Yeah. I mean, if you would come with your proposal and you say, I'm working with street and club, right? Dance aesthetics?
No, I think more like it's a movement background I carry, but I think I would not, if I create, say, oh, I'm doing a contemporary piece or I'm doing a street and club style piece. It's just languages I use. And then for me the question is like, what is it? Is it about the dance language, or did I create pieces, how I learned on the institution to create a dramaturgy, or like what makes it a contemporary piece? Is it like based on movement language, or because for me I try to also go away from defining because of a movement language, because there comes a certain hierarchy in it often. So I just ask, not as a critique, but more like to understand how you view it, or like would be Iranian folk dances, is that then put in a contemporary context, is that then like...
It is. To answer your question, it is. I mean, I personally, and I guess my team as well, would consider your proposition as contemporary, because it's a contemporary approach on the different styles. Probably it should be contemporary approach, right? Good. So I will, before I send you the slides, I will do a correction. A very, very good question. Thank you. Yeah, it's a contemporary approach. Yeah. And the last one is just about the forms, what kind of formats we present to our audience. So of course, mainly there are the pieces which we present on our big and small stage, but also results from the residencies, tryouts, showings. For the public, we offer physical introductions, artist talks, relaxed talks, and also if we talk about urban community, we do urban dance sessions, battles, and so on and so on. So we try to balance also in the form what we present to our audiences. I check the time. Okay, we are good. Now, selection. For the local and regional artists, we have an open call every year, which is in April, May, because the dance scene in North Rhine-Westphalia is very vivid, very live. We have a lot of artists, and we don't have enough slots to present all of them, even though we would like, but it's not possible just physically. There are not enough slots, so we have a transparent kind of selection process. We have an open call every year, An artist can apply for co-production, so we have 8 to 10 co-productions each year. So the artist would get the residency and would get amount of money to produce the piece. And we also invite the artist to send us the propositions for ready-made piece as a Gastspiel, so which would be in English guest performances. Thank you. Yeah, and we have. I wrote it down several criteria. We are not fixed. Sometimes we are a little bit fluid. Every year we check on our criteria if it's still, the criteria is still relevant. Or sometimes we are changing a little bit, right? It depends on situation. So this is, I'm coming back to your question about artistic quality, right? So I guess one of the, well, the first one would answer partly your question. This is the urgency pursuit. Some English-talking people can pronounce the second word, please. Thank you. Thank you. Persuasiveness, right? Yeah. And individuality of the project, right? So we are asking to present your project, why the project is important. Yeah.
For already finished and completed projects, go answer both. So you take calls for propositions and finished projects.
And if the project is not finished yet, so we ask also, what is your research, right? What you are working on, because we are interested about, as I told you before, about the context, how the artists think about the context. So this is very visible on in the description of the research.
So would you take that as like a written, not necessarily a report, but would it be a discussion or would it be a set out of current research, proposed research? Would it be more like a document or would it be like a discussion?
What do you mean exactly? Because I'm not sure I'm getting your question.
When proposing a project or like the beginnings of a research, would you, in order to determine the appropriateness of that project, would you discuss it like as a conversation or would you have that as a written?
As a conversation with the artist, you mean? We are asking artists to send the proposals. We just very simple. Because of the time resources and the personal resources, we cannot talk with 60 artists which send the proposition. So we are encouraging the artists to send the written proposition. They can do also as an audio file, or they can do also as a visual presentation.
Do you have particular questions you need answered in those proposals, or is there a standard?
So these are actually the points. So the artists know that they have to describe the project, what is the urgency of the project. The artists know that they have to describe the research and what kind of questions are important for the artists in this in the research. So it's all there, more or less. Yeah. Yeah. And also we're asking about attachment to Tanzhaus and Ave kind of profile. Well, it's for the North Rhine-Westphalia artists, right, which live and work in that state. So we know Tanzhaus and Ave, but we're actually also checking, do you really know where you're applying to? So we want to also kind of establish the relationship with the artist, if they haven't been presenting the piece at our house.
Because for me this is always a tricky question. Yeah. And what would you like to hear in this attachment and contrast? Because I mean, I'm an artist living in another place.
Yeah.
I'm not from
You're not like.
So it's always tricky, like how to answer this question.
I don't have one answer. It would be too easy, right? And too simple. For us, it's important when you read the proposal that the artists kind of know the institution where they apply to. So It's not necessarily you have to kind of describe us, but when you are posing the question and your topic, you can kind of pose the question about the audiences, and then you can read out of after the description if the artist know, because it's another dot, I guess, another point. Does the artist think about the audience from Düsseldorf? Does the artist think about the audience from North Rhine-Westphalia? Might be one of the questions, right? Some of the artists want to work with the local dance scene, right? So this is also the question for us. It's important and would be interesting if the artist would come and say, okay, I would like to work with the local artistic community. If someone comes from Cologne, right, and working in Düsseldorf, maybe it could be one of the answers. Yeah. Or we have also, I don't know, sorry, I touched the mic. We have also not only 2 stages, we have also academy and 8 studios, and we work very closely with our different communities, and we offer for the Düsseldorfer inhabitants a lot of dance courses. So it's a salsa and tango and contemporary and modern and hip hop and ballet 60+ and. So as an example here, to answer your question, one of the proposals which we had 2 years ago, I guess, one artist wanted to work with the participants from academy. So this is kind of, right? She made really kind of her thoughts about that. How can she implement the amateurs coming into the Tanzhaus NRW to work with them and then to create the piece, but also having her own vision.
How would you define your audience?
Fine. Oof. Another 1 hour lecture about the audiences. You mean the audience which are coming to see the dance shows?
Yes.
Yeah. Diverse. Young people, lots of relatives and friends from the artists who are living and working in North Rhine-Westphalia. Also our participants from academy who are dancing in the classes will also come to watch the performances. Yeah, and the people who are open for contemporary arts.
Also depend on which topic you choose, or?
Well, we don't have a research, very bright research on that, right? Because I would need to do the research each and every evening and to give to our audiences the formular, you know, to have the survey.
Do you think that there could be a topic that is interesting for all?
Yeah, well, yes, I mean, elderly people, they are also part of our audiences, definitely. Yes. When we are coming to watch the performances, some very alternative ones, and this is beautiful. Yeah. Oh.
With the criteria, when you select, do you put like any priority to certain criteria, or is it like maybe more equal? And then the other question is, I would like to hear more about details of artistic scene for
Definitely. Thank you for your question. I'm not there yet. So I will jump in straight away. And the first question was about criteria, like what is the first and what is the second. We don't do that. That this criteria is number 1 and this criteria is number 2 and this criteria is number 3. We don't do that. We see at the whole, at the proposition as it is, and then in the discussion we select. And sometimes it's not only one discussion. It can be several weeks if we have a lot of propositions and very good ones. So sometimes it's not easy because we want to present all of them, but we just have 8 or 10 slots, let's say. On certain point, yes. I mean, we go through this through the description of the project, and we look at the criteria, and some of the criteria we are presented in the proposal more strongly, some of them less strongly, let's say, right? But this is absolutely fine if we think that the project's really strong and it would be interesting for our audience. So we all agree. So, yeah, when we select that. Yeah. Okay, and I jump into the cast, details on artistic team, forms of collaboration as forms of collaboration and cast. So we ask the artist to send the vita, right, Lebenslauf, but we also ask the artist to say something about the collaboration, for example, between the musician and choreographer. If the choreographer wants to work with this and that particular musician, so we ask, maybe you could explain why, right? So we can understand a little bit more the background of your artistical interest. Did I answer your question more or less?
I was curious also if you then are interested in like how maybe a process of like bringing it to like bringing people together or like bringing it to them like for instance sharing like if that is also in like an interest in understanding how people work together since like
Sure.
Or also cast like do you with them or like people with like different backgrounds like that in the team maybe there's also ways of meeting or like collaborating that is as well like a value like the process of collaboration.
Sure. It's exactly what you're describing. It's interesting for us how you work. If kind of 5 people which don't know, or 3 people who know each other meets 3 people who don't know each other, it's like how you establish your collaboration and what is your praxis. So you don't need to, I mean, for us, you don't need to write an essay about that, but just, to have an understanding how you work together. Because this is also the core of your artistic practice. And we want to know about that. Yes, and 2 more points. How is the audience addressed and which audience is targeted? So it's sometimes in the artistic proposals, the artists forget about the audiences if the topic is very close or very individual or very intimate, let's say. So by asking this question, we're kind of trying to remind the artist to open up and to think, I'm doing this not only about your bubble, but also about the broader audience. Yeah. And practical thing, technical and financial project feasibility.
Sorry, I was wondering what you mean with when they close up into their topics, it is very personal and individual, because I think also something that might be very personal and individual might be important to bring out to different audience. Like, how would you categorize?
It's what was on my first slide about the context, right? So this is closeliness. For me personally, is the topic, artistic topic, and then how you put this topic into the context, into the brighter context. And this is the opening up for the audience to be able to connect with your topic. Okay. Ooh, I have to speed up. So now we go. We have also some international proposals in our program, and this is also few bullet points. What is important for us, it's how you can create the relationship with international artists, or is there already the relationship with international artists? For example, if someone has been already at our house doing the residency, and then the next step would be maybe we co-produce or show another piece. It not necessarily has to be that, but we're trying to see is their relationship with our house or not, and how can we establish that. Again, artistic quality as a base. The topic, what I said before, what is the artist interested in, what is the artistic topic, and then the relevance of the topic and its context. Also the relevance for our audiences, right? Sometimes our audience can connect much more and be related, probably, and be related towards the artistic propositions from the local and regional artists. And sometimes it's even harder to present international piece because the audiences, they don't know the international artist, which may be visible and known abroad, but not particularly in Düsseldorf. So sometimes there is a challenge, how can we present international names on our stage. But this is our kind of our task to deal with, right? Styles of curation, which we have as internal team, and it can be external guests. It not necessarily has to be those two. There are probably different styles of curation, but I wanted to focus on these two. So what I told you before, internal team is our dramaturgical team with 5 people discussing. So it could be the dramaturgs and artistic directors in the internal team. They would have a knowledge about the institution and the process. And the process of selection would be fast, right? An internal team has also certain awareness or the knowledge about their own audiences. So this is kind of classical way of curation, right? Most of the theaters, we have the dramaturgs, we have artistic directors, and this is how the artistic curation and how artistic process is working in the theaters, in the venues. Another thing, or another type or style of curation would be external guests, which I really like and enjoy in a way. During Tanzkongress 2022, we had, I need to think now, we had 19 external curators. We invited them to curate on specific topics because we cannot know about everything. We are not experts on everything, and it's really a little bit absurd to have the knowledge of everything. So in this case, we invite the experts on specific topic. They have a knowledge about specific field and specific context. In this case, the knowledge can circulate among the internal team, among the artists, and among external guests, right? And it's a kind of, in this way, you could create an opportunity to learn for everyone. However, this kind of type of curation is a little bit slower, let's say, because the internal guests, we have to learn first about the institution, we have to know how the technical team is working, how the production team is working, and so on. So it lowers a little bit the process. But we do both. Yes, one more slide. Associate artists, you probably know, but some institutions are working with associate artists, so they select, I don't know, the bunch of artists, and they work with them 5, 10 years, I don't know. We co-produce them, and it's the artists get the title of associate artist. So it's a continual cooperation with an institution, and it's a beautiful development of artistic career. So you're kind of secure that you would be co-produced by the institution, right? You get the residency, you can work on your research in the residency and later on present your piece. So it's a sustainable working relation with the institution, right? And in this way, if you are an associate artist, you can build a strong relationship with your audience, right? So the audience would know that the artist XYZ would every year would present every year the piece at Tanzhaus NRW, let's say, as an example. So there is this kind of connection, right? The previous director of Tanzhaus NRW, Bettina Masu, she was doing, she was was having this program called Factory Artist. When I started, I didn't continue the program of associate artists or the factory artists because I think that by not having associated artists, we are creating opportunities for others, right? If I have, I don't know, we have 20 slots, and if I have 5 artists, so all the 5 slots are always blocked for those artists. So for me, I really want to kind of create opportunities or give the opportunities for other artists in order, you know, to circulate the artistic proposals. And it's also development of artistic career, yeah? We also give the residencies, so if we select during open call, we give the residency for artists to work on the artistic proposal. We give an amount of money, we co-produce the piece, we show the piece, but it's not necessarily mean that we would do each and every year with the same artist, right? And I know that sustainability is a big topic and it's good, and everyone would say sustainable relationship with institution is beautiful and important. In this case, there is a kind of flexible working relation with institution, and I would give you an example. Maybe you know the artist Ben J. Riepe. He's based in Düsseldorf, having his own space. And if he would be in our program as associate artist, it would mean that he would show his piece all the time at our space, right? But by not doing so, it's kind of be creating the opportunity to be open for other institutions. And last year, I'm thinking now 23 or 22, was it like that? He presented the piece, his premiere in May at our space. And 1 month later, he presented the piece at Freies Forum Theater, which is really close to us. It's like, I don't know, 7 minutes walk. So, right, one month he was in our program, and the second month in June he was in FFT. So this is kind of flexibility also for the institutions, and also flexibility for the artists to work with the different institutions, in my opinion. And by not having associate artists, we kind of, as an institution, we create diversity of artistic voices in our program, which is also, in my opinion, beautiful and important as well. That's it. Yeah, so I'm checking the time now. We have only 15 minutes. Okay. Now, I would like to invite you to stand up. Ooh. And to move a little bit, we will do 1 minute, 2 minutes stretching and moving. So just stretch your body. Yawn, exactly. Do what you need. But stretching, moving, it's nice to stand up, not sit all the time, right? Okay. Yeah, nice. Okay. And now start to circling your body, your arms, and your legs. You can also stretch and circle at the same time. Oh, it feels nice, no? Yes. Good. And if you like, you can start to shake a little bit the limbs, the whole body, as you wish. To bounce. Nice. Ah, good. And start to walk in the space slowly, and you can still stretch and circle and bounce and shake and walk. Ah. And see if you can make a contact, smile to the person you meet, look into their eyes, say hello. And if you like, if it's okay, you maybe can touch the person, very gentle. Yeah. Say hello, may I touch you? Yeah. Nice. Okay. Good. And hug if you like. If it's that okay. Let's hug if it's that okay. If not, you shake. It's okay. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. So you can continue to hug later on after the lecture. Let's finish somehow. Come to an end. Okay. Good. And now we'll go into the groups. I would like to have 4 groups if it's that okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember your number. Okay, so you tell, you say 1, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just fast, 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 doesn't matter.
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Yes, I guess it should be like we are ending by 3. Everyone has number?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, and 4. The time is ticking fast. I just want to talk. Please come to an end. Okay. Okay. I know you want to discuss, but the time is ticking, unfortunately. We have to somehow come to an end. Let's do maybe a circle, just you know, maybe you could turn in and stay where you are. Right? I know you want to talk with each other, but just let's finish because the time is ticking. And you have another lecture or the practice, right? Yes. Yeah, so, and you want to have a break, so let's somehow.
Then this could be everything, so maybe then it needs to be a soup of topics that are like tough, basic values, democratic. Yeah.
Maybe you can open the circle because we have to finish, I'm sorry. Just really where you are, but that kind of turn. You need to finish because the time is ticking, sorry, so maybe you can just turn in to the others. Yeah. So I already overstretched 10 minutes, sorry for that. It will be a little bit less of your break. And I guess you were discussing still kind of intensively. Sorry for my kind of bad calculation of the time. I mean, you can still discuss within your group, right? You have the topics. You can also share with each other what was your question, because it is a different situation. Maybe you have exchanged nice ideas. And now I would invite you, I don't know, to share some thoughts or some urgent comments or some urgent questions or just some, I don't know, if you have some. And we will finish this round by now. So feel free if someone wants to say something about the question or in general about the lecture, or it's up to you. And if you don't, we can have a coffee and talk there.
I think it was interesting, and we had a task about being in the, not applying, but curating. So it was interesting to be in that space and having to have that task of like, what are we gonna select? There was all these different ideas, which were all really interesting, but we had the task of, do they fit the criteria? And I think that was interesting to be in that spot. And how do you think in that aspect, hearing also the others agreeing or adding up their thoughts in the other options can really makes you understand how those three different topics can be seen in different ways, and or what would you do if even none of them you want to select. And I really liked what you guys
You can later on go around and read the papers if you are interested, right? They are here in the about the situations, because we are slightly different.
Maybe put them on the panel so everybody can see them. Okay.
No. Okay. Thank you. Someone else?
Yes, to the point where you talked about associate artists, I just still have very mixed feelings with this point, because I feel like the future being in freelance dancing is so precarious, and not even having the possibility as a freelance artist to have an association for a while, to have like a certainty of being somewhere for maybe 2 or 3 seasons. It's even more fragile for me. I mean, of course you put it into terms of flexibility, and I get that point, but I also feel it's applying a lot of all those neoliberal strategies, and it's also quite difficult. So yeah, I don't know, maybe you have some words for this kind, or some thoughts.
I feel your pain.
Yeah.
It's painful for me as well, from being on another side, because I think In Germany, particularly, I don't know, in Europe as well, there are not enough. I will be now very radical, okay?
Yeah.
So I think there are too many artists and not enough institutions. And it's painful for both ways. And it's the whole system. We have to go really into the system if we want to change something. But going into the system, I think we should start with the academic field and not to, I will be very radical and also doing this, not to produce so many artists each year. And I leave it there.
I think also there is like this constant dependence of institutions of an artist. So I think what we should do is like to create another way of making our work possible without depending on institutions. Because if you're always depending on getting the grant, and if you don't, how do you manage, you know? So I think it's also about like these associations or artistic communities that, yeah, like other ways, looking for other ways of supporting, because depending on institutions is getting more complicated.
Totally agree. And also from an institutional point of view, we are depending on the funding bodies. So I'm the same depending on my funding body in the city council and in the state and on state North Rhine-Westphalia and Bund. So it's kind of the same, but in another context.
I just want to add on. I think it's really like nice what you said, also in the sense of, like, I understand the point that as institutions we should like produce less artists, but I think it is also a very like naive or maybe like ignorant way of thinking, because it also this acknowledges institutional educated artists as artists, and also just providing accessibility to this money and these fundings and support from institution to institutional educated. So it's super not diverse and inclusive. And I think especially in that moment that it becomes even more important, or I feel like there's a lot of potential, because we all know that there's so much like more artists that we oversee because they don't they're not present for us in this institutional level, and I think like finding ways and opportunities to not being dependent on institutions makes it also much more possible to actually be much more inclusive in the art field, and because you actually have to start to get really creative, like how can it be sustainable, and it can be like a lot of community work, like putting things together. So I would actually like disagree on the point of like going through the academic and going through the institutional side to provide or create more, offer more, because I feel the academic and institutional side is always like going hand in hand with like capital colonial rhythms and mechanisms that don't do good to anyone. So
and just one thing. And it's also like to be an artist is that the only thing that we do is like producing work, like just creating like what other things or what other possibilities we have as an artist. Like is it just like wanting to create more and more pieces, or what is it? What are other ways of creating sustainable possibilities of existence in this capitalism world? Yeah.
Sure. Go.
I'm afraid we have to slowly wrap up. So maybe from my perspective, I can say that I think what Ingrida said was more about the scheme of an associate artist. I think you didn't give a statement against continuity. To give you an example, here in Tanzwerkstatt Europa, we never had any associate artist. Nevertheless, we have been programming the work of Jonathan Burroughs since 30 years, and we have almost showed every piece of it. So there is a certain difficulty with this idea of associated artist, because it actually was invented by Nele Hertling in the 80s or early 90s in order to support an artist's name for a longer time. And the artists they selected then were people like Anne-Therese de Keersmaker, like Jan Lauwers, like Jan Fabre at that time, because it was very difficult to establish certain artists' names for their local audiences. And there has been an inflational use of that term associated artist, which often came as a label, but not as a dedication in many places. And so this idea of an associated artist also reflects back on the institution. So if you have certain names you associate with your institution, you make your institution more important. So also being associated as an artist is also a strength you bring to the institution. So it's always a giving and taking. And this
Yes,
is
sure.
the way I read your statement. And as somebody who's running a house, you're always in the difficulty that if you invest more resources into one artist, there are even more artists that you have to neglect, and it's a constant balance you have to find between those extremes in a way. So, but I would like to thank you very much, Ingrida, for giving an insight in those decision-making processes. I would like to thank you for your highly intelligent and interesting questions. So, if you keep that spirit, I think it's going to be a very lively week. I'm afraid we have been taking quite a lot from your little break, because the class starts in 7.5 minutes. So I think we have to cut down here, and normally you should have a longer break in between. So sorry for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.